there's so much healing even going on in me right now just from you answering these first two questions. So my goodness, my goodness.
What works for me right now would not necessarily have worked for me 5, 10 years ago. I've been doing so much work that there's less things triggering me, and less things triggering me, I'm more positive and I'm able to maintain a positive mindset. The one technique, the most powerful thing anyone can do is observing of shoulds you say in your mind, what you should be doing, and asking yourself, what are the things I need to do to feel better?
My goodness, literally, if you knew, you answered one of my biggest issues I currently am dealing with in this moment. Clarity, you just gave me a specific answer, what they're doing, why they're doing it, and really follow through that thought process. The deepest flow state, there's such a rise of gratitude for the specific tools I'm using. And when it's something about that appreciation for the tools that. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Toms, again. Yes, yes. So the questions I have for you, I'm very interested because this week, as I got to know you more through your YouTube channel and your passion, I could feel it coming through. I'm so interested because one of your posts described your old mentality, the way you saw the world, wanting to be involved mentally with the problems of the world and questioning who was behind this type of problem of the world. And it was a little comic strip that you had shown, and it made me think. It made me think about me because honestly, I'm not the same type. I know where my mind it can go all the way there. So I choose not to look at the news. I choose not to pay attention to a lot of things. But the way you described that, I was very interested because not just me, but a lot of people deal with controlling their attention, controlling where they use their mind power, their emotions. And so as I was looking through your Facebook page when I saw on the cover, I saw adaptive stress management. And that to me, just because of the content you bring, I realized that that's where, you have a real gift and a power is this stress management, ability to communicate stress management, and I know you use yoga as a tool, but could you describe, this is the first question, could you describe what adaptive stress management is?
So yeah, adaptive stress management to me, what it is because we're living in dynamic world, dynamic lives, and everything's changing. And on top of that, each of us as individuals are completely different or slightly different. So each of us will need a slightly different approach.
Absolutely.
And first of all, I'm adapting the techniques and teachings to each of the individual I'm working with. So this actually works for them, because what works for me right now would not necessarily have worked for me 5, 10 years ago.
Wow.
Same as you. Like at the moment, I'm at level where I have more aware of my thoughts. I have better role models. I know more techniques. I have better ideas how the world works. I have more empowering belief systems. So for me, it's I can go for more fine-tuned techniques. However, for one who was, as you mentioned, for the guy who was 5, 10 years ago, I was really into conspiracy theories. I was searching for, listening to all these people, trying to find someone who's blamed, whose fault is this, who do I need to take down for the world to get a better place? And these are the questions people would ask, and there's nothing really wrong with that, in the sense that because they don't, I didn't know anything better at that point. That was the best thing I could come up with. Those were my role models. And adaptive stress management means that okay, I meet you where you are, from your belief system, from your mindset, from your habits, from your whatever. Because if you don't have any physical routine, you don't take care of your physically, you don't have, like, for me it's yoga practice, but you could be going to the gym, walking in a park, having physical work. Some people work in the gardens, whatever. You have a physical use of the body to get your strength, get your blood running, then you don't need that specifically as a technique, because you're already taken care of. Maybe you need some additional to it. But if you're already like going to the gym, you're a high athlete, you're already doing lots of stuff, maybe you need more relaxation, So instead of having more exercises, you're already doing lots of exercises. You need more actually meditation, relaxation after those exercises. So adapting to and meeting different people at different stages. And one more thing, I was interested because I'm a person with high energy. I have loads of energy, and first of all, it's something that has been in me naturally, but other I'm cultivating because I'm doing lots of exercises, lots of yoga, lots
Mm,
of physical activity. And the more activity I do, the more energy I get.
mm,
And it's a kind of a, yes, I was lucky to start my life with lots of energy and I got used to it. And that's why I'm doing more exercises. But
mm,
anyone can actually get there if they cultivate it consciously and consistently. And someone who's has more grounded, more calm, because there are lots of people who would be like really lower voice, talking
mm,
more quietly. And
mm,
for these kind of people, they will need different approach. They will
mm,
need different techniques. For
mm,
me, to be power yoga,
mm,
going like something strong, something that makes me really like feel my body. And for
mm,
other people who are more like feminine, especially feminine, more grounded,
mm,
slower,
mhm,
they would need more of a yin style yoga, more stretching, maybe just dancing slowly, just moving body. So depending on where you are as a person, from your characteristics,
mm,
from your mindset, beliefs. So it's kind of everything comes together. And what kind of environment you live in, what's your
mm,
habits, like what kind of work you have. You
mm,
kind of have to put everything together because for me, I'm living in a really encouraging environment. I'm not reading bad news. I have good friends
mm,
automatically. Like, and if I don't find someone, if I don't like someone or whatever, I either put boundaries automatically, or I don't see them automatically. So at this point, it's kind of like I don't get contact with the people I don't like much. It's just kind of somehow put the boundaries automatically. It happens for me, and but for some people, it's not the case. For some people, they have loads of family friends, parents, neighbors that are really like pain in the butt that
yeah,
they cannot avoid them. So they're really in this toxic environment, and they need different approach.
yeah,
Lots of people triggering them day-to-day basis. I've been doing
mm,
lots of inner work, so you were about to ask me some other questions about mindfulness as well. So that's
yeah,
another thing. I've been doing so much work that there's less things triggering me, and less
mm,
things to trigger me. I'm more positive, and I'm able to maintain the positive mindset. So that's the adaptive stress management. In
mm,
short, in a nutshell, is adapting to the whole environment,
mm,
inside and outside,
mm,
and whatever challenge comes, making people ready to be able to face the challenge no matter what.
mm, mm.
Preparing people for that.
Wow, wow, wow. You know, I have to say, I genuinely get such a powerful resonance from you that this is your gift because the way I know you didn't start here. It's a long road of growing, learning, interacting with the right people, self accountability to yourself. But my goodness, it's so interesting because the last interview we had, my wife and daughter were watching it with me, and they could pick up on just such positive, good energy from you. They told me to tell you hi as well. They said thank you for
Thank
the
you.
interview. But you did such. I mean, your energy and your I don't know what I would call it, just your presence, the way you can listen to someone and communicate back to them is such a gift. It's very rare that someone can truly take in I guess the environment of a person and not just I don't know. It's so interesting because it's like I just asked the question now, what is adaptive stress management? And the way you diagnosed how you would view each person is absolutely what I would call wise techniques. You come with such natural wise techniques that I already in the second interview, I would absolutely trust you to communicate my issues with you and keep my ears wide open to the advice that you have. So many more blessings to this journey as an adaptive stress management coach or whatever you call yourself. But in yoga as well, I know that the world is truly blessed that you're taking action now to start adding this content to because more than ever the world needs more of your energy, more of your experience shared with many. So thank you so much just for your journey and being diligent to what you've been called to do. So with that said, I'm going to ask the second question. Mindfulness, what does this mean to you? What is mindfulness specifically? What does that mean to you, being mindful?
So in my case, I link mindfulness to presence,
Mm,
and I have my mantra.
mhm,
Uh, something I keep reminding myself, and whenever I'm commenting, I think I mentioned this last podcast, last interview. Be present, and now I have expanded to be namaste present, and
Mm.
the word present is so deep. There's so many angles to it.
Yeah.
Uh, because I always been in love with language,
Mm.
play, the meanings, the different words. So um, the word present is a present as a gift. I will give you a present. It's
Mm.
a verb. It's a adjective. It's a noun. At the
Yes.
same time,
Yeah.
uh, being present. Being
Mm.
present is I'm right now. Right now, I'm not in the future. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to say next. I'm not thinking about what or judging myself what I said before.
Mhm.
I'm right now. I'm allowing myself to express in a present moment. And then there's this word presence.
Mhm.
Just how do I show up to the world?
Mm.
Am I being present? Am I being gift to you? Or
Mm.
I'm taking, only taking from you?
Mm. Mm.
And I link mindfulness to presence and
Mm.
present because we live in a present.
Mhm.
And mindfulness for me, mindfulness means awareness of
Mm.
that presence. Am
Yes.
I thinking about what I'm going to say next? Am I thinking or judging what I said before? Therefore, I'm not able to express myself. Or am I right now? And how much of the, because it's also not 100%. I'm not be able to be 100% now. I still need to have a bit of a thought idea. I have to need to set my intention of where I'm leading this conversation. I still need to think about what I said already, so I'm not repeating myself too much.
Mm.
So, and the mindfulness is being aware of all the variety of thoughts coming into my mind, into my body, observing the feelings,
Mm.
observing my senses, seeing you as a feedback,
Mhm. Mhm.
be aware of all this happening,
Mhm.
setting my intentions, and then observing how those intentions and my actions interact with everything.
Mm. 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 I see. I see.
And then it's like it's so many aspects. Where is
Mhm.
my attention going? Where is my focus on? I have so many things happening around me, all those senses, thoughts, emotions, feelings, intentions, and amongst all those things, where I'm actually looking, what I'm paying attention to.
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
like I said 10 years ago, my attention was going into the blaming. Okay, something bad happened in the world. Who did that? Whose fault that? Who do I need to blame? Who needs to take care of that? So
Mhm.
instead of me trying to figure out how I can contribute better to this world, I was thinking, okay, I need to take this guy, or which guy I need to take down, or which is to blame, who needs to go to the jail, who
Mhm.
needs to step down from their position. So being aware
Mm.
to your best of your ability, where is your attention? Because 10 years ago I wasn't aware of that this is something wrong, because that was a thing that made more sense and made more progress, and this is the best thing I know. And
Mm.
I was aware that this thing happened, but once something else comes to your mind, and being aware that something else, some new idea comes into your mind, and maybe someone tells there's the better way, and
Mhm.
being mindful that maybe there's some truth to that idea,
Mm.
or
Mm.
just are pushing it away, and also being mindful maybe I'm just pushing it away because it doesn't feel comfortable or no,
Mm.
because that would mean I need to change.
Mm.
So being aware of all these things happening, being aware how you make decisions, why you make decisions. And it's okay that you're pushing something away. And as you push it away, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Disease, discomfort, all those emotions, they're basically a signal for you to tell you something's happening. You're ignoring something.
Mm.
Something's knocking on your door. Maybe neighbor wants to ask you something. Maybe you need something, or maybe you need something for the neighbor. Like
Mm.
yesterday, we had a doorbell here.
Mhm.
The neighbor was just bringing the bell, and as I was going there and opening the door, it turns out because we have these two doors,
Uh-huh.
one of them was open. The neighbor just wanted to let us know that one of your doors is open.
I
So,
see.
so there's this knock at your door, and my immediate expectation was someone wants me from me something, but
Yeah.
actually no, they wanted to give me something. You
Right.
know? So unless you go out and explore and
Mm.
see what's there, step out of your discomfort, your fear, because
Mm.
years ago I was like I would just ignore the neighbor because I'm too scared in my shell. Like
Yeah.
what if something happens? Like I'm not dressed good enough or whatever.
Yeah.
There's so many excuses,
Yeah.
and As you go on, you try to pay attention to those thoughts. Maybe there's something there. Maybe I can actually help someone,
Mm.
or maybe it's not that bad. Maybe I can just deal with that. Maybe I can just see who's there. Just maybe look to the eye in the
Yeah.
door and see who's there.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not that scary. So just going step by step and being mindful of these things. That's mindfulness. Just
Wow. Wow.
being this awareness and presence.
Mm, mm. I see. So now I see, when I said, there's something about your presence, and I guess that's the word that I didn't, put my finger on. You've trained in your ability to be mindful, and that's what I'm picking up on is your ability to be mindful, because most people I interact with, I guess I could say they're not too mindful. And absolutely, I guess I can admit for myself, the description that you were giving about, are you present even in your conversation, though your mind should be a little bit knowing where you want to lead the conversation and what was said before. I have a tendency to be so in the future of what I need to say and what they were saying that I lose myself from the being right in the presence. And a lot of what you described, I've dealt with, and I still account for even now, just not wanting to deal with certain people or something, thinking that they want something from me, and these habits of mentality that happen as a child, from a lot of different experiences. um I guess, now it's exciting for me to account for them, but still, if you don't know the techniques, or if you don't think about this certain idea that goes through your mind, it just keeps looping and you don't ever really catch it. So just even in these first two questions, you're there's so much healing even going on in me right now just from you answering these first two questions. So my goodness, my goodness. Uh, let me go on to the third question, because I can literally sit here and ask you so many questions. But third question is, um, what is one effective or powerful way to be more mindful in our daily experiences?
Mhm.
Effective or powerful? And I say those because I know there's techniques and exercises, but for you, what has been something that you notice that you use daily that brings you into your mindfulness? What is one of these techniques for you?
So you asked me a similar question before,
Yes.
um, and this at this time the question is slightly different. And I was about to say to that question that it's a breath, it's an exercise,
Mhm.
because from physiological point of view, the breath is linked both to the conscious and unconscious, subconscious mind.
Mhm.
So by controlling your breath and doing exercise, also control the breath. So, for example, I was about to say you that if you go out for a run, you can automatically change your breathing from shallow, slow breathing to the faster breathing, maybe a bit deeper breathing. So just by doing these activities, you automatically change your breathing, you change your mood, you change your mindset. However, I don't think it's the right answer this time for this question,
Mhm.
because the one technique, the most powerful thing anyone can do, is observing of shoulds you say in your mind, what you should be doing,
Mhm.
and asking yourself, what are the things I need to do to feel better?
Mhm.
Because the answer to more awareness, answer to more mindfulness, more presence, is to know where you are emotionally, because emotions is a big feedback loop for us as human beings.
Mhm.
So do you feel depressed? Do you feel joyous? Do you feel neutral, like
Mhm.
numb? Do you feel numb? So just by knowing where you are at the moment
Mhm.
and asking yourself, am I do I want to stay here or do I want to be somewhere else? Just
Mhm.
by asking these questions. So the technique is asking your questions. And the
Mhm.
question, do I want to be here or there's something pushing me somewhere else? And
Mhm.
in my life, I've many times, like let's say yesterday, I was pushing myself to edit the podcast I had.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to finish the podcast. Okay, I did finish the podcast, but last 10-15 minutes, as I was doing that, I had this idea in my mind. I want to go outside. I want to go walk. I want to go run. And there was a bit of resistance in my mind.
Mm.
Should I go now or should I go in 15 minutes? And there's this negotiation in my mind between myself, because I already started feeling a bit anxious. And
Mm.
I could have gone out immediately and then have immediate release. But then I was risking that maybe after I come back, I'm not in a good mood and not able to finish the project.
Mm.
However, most of the time, taking action as soon as you can is more beneficial.
Mm.
And that's the thing, is having that negotiation and asking those questions. Okay, I'm not going now. When I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
And is it in 15 minutes or is it when I finish the project? Will I be able to go? So it's that following that shoulds,
Mm.
follow,
Mm.
not really actually acting on them. What I think they say I should be doing is about following up those shoulds and asking, okay, what's the outcome? Why do I want to go for a run? Because release, because I think I haven't moved enough, because I'm low on energy, I have tension in my body. And okay, and then I'm asking what's the best way to do that? And turned out, yeah, going out for a walk is the best way. But sometimes there's something else. There's maybe emotional eating.
Mm.
I'm
Mm.
feeling stressed. I need to kind of top up. I need more energy. And sometimes the immediate thought, I need to take a coffee. I need to have a bit of chocolate or something sweet,
Right.
a donut. There's lots of fat and sugar in there, so it gives immediate gratification.
Mm.
Because I think I should have finished podcast earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about following those shoulds
Mm-hmm.
and try to really connect. Okay, what's in my best interest? And asking those questions. What will make me feel better? Will I feel better if I push through and finish this podcast and then go for a run?
Mm.
Or I make a smart pause now, go for a run, come back, and then finish. And as you evaluate, as you know your values, as
Mm.
you know what makes you happy, what makes you fulfilled,
Mm.
you know better which things you actually will make you feel better and which are the wiser choices for you. And as you go, as you try, as you learn, you make better and better choices. And
Mm.
that's and the outcome is how to ask those questions is about where you are in the feeling level. Am I
Mm.
feeling bad? From feeling bad, you make bad choices.
Mm.
So just by being feeling bad, depressed, and thinking that I should be pushing myself through and going through the whatever project I'm working on,
Mm.
you know that decision at that moment is really bad decision because you're feeling bad. You're making a decision from feeling bad.
Mm.
So maybe I should remember that my objective is to actually have fun while doing this. And
Mm.
because I remember that, well, okay, there's this threshold. I know, okay, I can push, push, push. But once I get to this threshold, no, it makes no sense for me to push anymore. I need to actually take a break. I put
Mm.
everything aside and then go. So asking those questions,
Mm.
what's my objective? And
Wow.
following those shoulds. Because sometimes just there's this one thing that weighs me down so much because I think I should be doing, and I'm trying to do something else.
Mm.
Just by doing that thing that weighs you down or dealing with it properly, or saying, okay, I'm going to go in 15 minutes for that run. I'm not going to go now for a run now because that thing is still weighing me down. I need to go for a run. I need to go for a run. If you just ignore it, you're not able to do the project. You're not able to do the run. You're just being stressed. Basically,
Mm.
two things are pulling you apart.
Mm.
If I'm negotiating with myself and
Mm.
say, okay, I acknowledge you, and now I want to go for a run, I will
Mhm.
do it in 15 minutes.
Mm.
Okay? And
Mm.
now I'm going to focus for next 15 minutes on this project. I want to finish that project. And
Mm.
then for those 15 minutes, you still have a bit of that push from that run, but it's
Mm.
not as big. So you have more energy to actually do things you want to do. And
Wow.
then you go for a run.
Yes, yes. Wow. My goodness. My goodness. Literally, if you knew, you answered one of my biggest issues I currently am dealing with in this moment. You literally just answered such the clarity. You just gave me a specific answer. I literally asked, what was an effective, powerful way to be more mindful, and for you to go and answer with that specific technique. For one, that's an amazing technique for anybody to use, to truly question what they're doing, why they're doing it, and really follow through that thought process. But my goodness, you literally just personally answered one of my biggest issues in the moment. And that'll probably come up in your question 3 to me. So with that said, I've asked my questions, and my goodness, you've given me such amazing answers. So, and I can't wait for our followings to grow, because as they make their way through your channel and even this channel and follow up on these interviews, my goodness, these are such powerful techniques given to so many people. So thank you for answering those so amazingly. I mean, I genuinely am in gratitude for those answers. So thank you, Toms. And with that said, you can feel free to ask the questions that you have for me.
Well, first of all, I wanted to express my gratitude towards asking your questions and making having that feeling that I'm being useful and being able to help people. Because my role so far, the most I've been doing on my podcast on my channel is interviewing other people and
Yes.
getting the knowledge out of them, and I'm really good at that. And
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for you to actually be able to ask me those questions, that I'm actually able to express myself for once as well. So it's really nice to switch those roles once in a while. And now I can go back to the role I'm also really familiar with,
Yeah.
asking those questions. So thank you so much for having this really nice format where we can switch roles and express both ourselves.
Absolutely. Thank you again. No, genuinely thank you for your presence. So yes.
So my first question to you is, if you get into the flow state as an artist, what's your most humbling experience of that? So intention behind me asking this question is because I know you're an artist, and
Yes.
you know you can get really focused, highly focused, and get in that flow state.
Yes.
And why I'm asking you this question about most humbling experience is that it's easier for you to connect with this feeling and get there a bit more often
Yes.
as you remember that, how you get in there. So that's why I'm asking you, what's your most humbling experience of getting in that flow state?
So when I read the question, I'm glad you said that, because I needed to ask you like more specification of the humbling part, because I didn't register what that actually meant. You know, what is the most, so ask the question to me again, just so I can hear it.
So try to remember the time when you were most in flow,
Yes.
like creating something, like really focused, really excited.
Yes.
And what's that experience? Describe that experience.
So for me, that experience, it's interesting because
Try to be as specific, because my intention here is to bring you back in memory. What were you doing? How did it look like? What was the project you're working for? So try to come up with the details, so it actually so audience know what happened to you as well.
got it. So I'm a visual creator. So since I was a child, my visual creations have been mostly pencil and paper. I like the contrast of just black and white lines. But as I evolved in my art world, in my art career, in my art knowledge and exercises, I became more into colors and just different techniques and everything. But I'm a visual communicator. So in my most flow state of creating something visually, honestly, it's interesting, because what's coming to my mind right now is when I'm on the computer, even though most of the time I enjoy just being with pencils and pens and paint, I'm envisioning my flow state being on the computer, me creating something graphic, maybe like a logo. And in this state, I really have a gratitude. And it's interesting, because you asked this question, and what comes to my mind when I think of flow state as a visual artist is a deep appreciation in that moment of presence with the tool specifically. It's interesting. You would think that maybe I'm thinking, you know, about image and lines, and I'm more impressed in gratitude to the tools, whether it be the paper or the pencil or the pen or the computer, and the tool options that it gives me to create certain lines, and then the ability to be so detailed and affect that line exactly the way my mind wants to affect it. So when I'm in my deepest flow state, there's such a rise of gratitude for the specific tools I'm using. And when it's something about that appreciation for the tools that kind of assist me in wanting to execute things with such excellence, because of the excellence of the tool itself. Because this tool can do such an amazing thing, I want to do something amazing with it. So it's so interesting because I believe that even if there wasn't a subject visually, like if I was drawing, say, a bus or a can of soda or something like this, if I was drawing a specific image on a paper, it would be more about the pencil that I'm holding and the texture of the paper. This is the way my mind works. It just goes so deep into the tools that I'm using, and I appreciate what's coming, the density of the pen, of the pencil, whether it's a light pencil or a real dark, rich black pencil coming out on the paper. And when I connect with that, it makes me want to do certain things visually because of the tools themselves. So when you said that, my most humbling state in my flow, my visually communicating flow state, is appreciation of the tools. And that appreciation of the tools just really elevates my presence in that moment even more than what I'm seeing. I'm very detail oriented, so I like photorealism. I like sharp, clean lines. You know what? I actually have a piece here. I'm working on shoes right now, and they're custom painted. But if you know, they're very detailed lines on a shoe. You know, and normally a person wouldn't get down deep on a shoe and look at the shoe or anything. But as I'm painting these lines, the tools themselves, when I'm able to execute paint, staying in a line without going over a certain area and staying in its lane, it's just amazing to me. I don't know, I've never ever even processed that thought till you asked the question, that I appreciate the tools so much, that my flow state is really initiated and inspired by the tools that I use. So I would say my most humbling flow state is just appreciation of the tools I use while I'm creating. So it's just a feeling that comes from inside of me that really is the joy of it. It's not necessarily just looking at the finished piece, oh, that looks amazing, or just being there. You know, sometimes people enjoy just relaxing and breathing, sitting, enjoying quiet time, or playing some soft music or the music they like. Those things really don't affect me as much as me interacting with the tools themselves. So that's what draws me into the presence of my flow state, is the tools themselves.
That's so beautiful answer, and it makes so much sense because those tools are the medium that allows you to express the idea. So without them, there would be no expression. You have this idea, you have this vision, and you kind of want to express it, but if there's no tool, there's no expression. If the tool is not right, you're not able to express it right. So it's that acknowledgement that there needs to be a vision, there needs to be artist, and there needs to be a tool.
Yes.
The combination and that specific focus on that tool on a specific moment allows you to tune in to the detail you're creating, being so present because you're seeing so much detail. As I said, pencil, how wide, how deep it is, at angle you're pressing it, all those fine details of the tool.
Yes.
And realizing that there's appreciation. Without this tool, I would be not able to express it in such a true fashion. And that gratitude gets you even more deeper in a state, and you feel more grateful for that, and you're able to get more detail, because what flow is that fine focus on the thing you want. And as you focus on that tool, as you focus how you're expressing it, you get even deeper in the state. And if you feel, the more grateful you are, the more deeper you get there. And then once you kind of step back, you kind of take a look at the picture, and then you go again. So that's a very beautiful answer. And you answer the question so abundantly.
Yes.
And you completely got what I was intending. I was intending for you to be able to get there more often and more frequently on conscious, like, you know, on a choice level. Because once you know that once you understand how you do it, you're able to get there faster, easier. And even when you don't feel like creating it, so you are able to connect to that level a bit faster and deeper and better. Because now when you have awareness of that, how you did it, and now you can actually cultivate it consciously.
Yes. No, thank you again. Like I said, I had never actually consciously thought about that until you asked the question. And then when I thought about it, it was like gratitude. When I thought of one thing, the rain started to come. It was just one trickle of joy, and gratitude. But then as I thought about my different tools, it started to rain and I started to feel so like excited and happy. So you're right. Now that I know that this tool of emotional tool of recalling what my flow state is all about can really pull me into the work, even outside of, pull me actually to do the work, or, if I'm outside of it, or if I'm having a tough day or something has blocked my attention from doing it, I know what I can actually trigger in my mind to bring about that rain of joy and excitement. So thank you, Thomas. Thank you for that question.
Awesome. I'm really happy. And now I'm ready to ask you this next question.
Yes, yes.
And the question I wrote initially was, the last session you mentioned accountability. What's your why story for that? And I want to expand this question slightly,
Mm-hmm.
because there's another tip I know I can serve you with this question.
Mm-hmm.
Is you said you're a visual person,
Yes.
and stories can be a really visual thing. So I want to come up with a story where you can basically paint with the words why accountability is so important to you. So try to come up with a scene from
Mm-hmm.
memory
Uh-huh.
and try to give as much detail as you can visually as a
Okay.
story.
Wow.
What do
Okay.
you see?
Okay. Okay. This is on the spot, but I think it should come
All you have to
natural.
do is just let it go. Like, what do you see? Because you're visual,
Okay.
you already see the scene.
So yeah, I do see the scene. So great, great. I'm telling you, you're natural at this. So it's interesting that the scene that comes to my mind of the why I'm so passionate about accountability is because the scene that's coming to my mind was I'm in elementary school, and I must have been in third grade, and I was a very happy kid. I'm always happy, smiling all the time, happy, smiling. I love to laugh in class. The teachers were always sending me outside of the class because I couldn't hold my laughing in. I just kept laughing all the time. But as this happy kid, there's something about happy kids that are dealing with things inside don't like the happy kid as much. And they actually have this bitterness towards a happy kid. So I was always getting in physical fights with other kids. And it was not because I was into fighting. It was because it was, in a sense, you could call him a bully. So in about third grade, there's this bully. And for some reason, he decides on any given, on this specific day that he wasn't having a good day. And he decided to take it out on me. And my character is, I'm happy and I love to laugh and I love to be friends. I was always friends with everybody. It was never like I had this group of friends or that. I was friends with everybody. I would stop by everybody's group and talk to them and have fun with them. But on this specific day, this bully decided to take his frustration out on me. And my whole thing was, as 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 a child, it's interesting that I had this almost superhero complex in my head that I did not like bullies for picking on people that had nothing, had no anger inside. And every time I saw that happen outside of me, it would make me very upset inside. So when it would happen to me, which it was rare, but it would still happen. But when it would happen to me, something would change in me. And I was not the smiley, happy kid. I was ready to fight at any time. And so on this specific day, I get in a fight, and the principal calls my mother, and I'm in the principal's office. And this was one of my early fights. Like I said, throughout school, I was constantly getting in fights. And that's why I decided to leave that establishment, because it was not my environment. But so this was about elementary school, fourth or third grade. So I'm in the principal's office, and this is still new to me because I don't like to fight. So my adrenaline's still running, and I'm still kind of nervous, even though, the fight got handled and I was not, I'd never got really picked on after that. But I was still so nervous sitting there in the principal's office, the principal talking to me about, the situation, and that that the cops would maybe come to the school, to have to talk to me. And because I'm not a troublemaker, because I don't like dealing with, this type of environment, fighting and stuff, I was very nervous and scared. But I actually, I got in this fight, and so my mother, she comes and picks me up, and for some reason, I don't remember the details, but I know I was guilty. Not as guilty as the bully, but I was still guilty because I remember my mentality towards what I would see, what I would feel when bullies would mess with other kids. I would feel this immediate, I need to revenge that, and I'm gonna get him. It was this energy inside, I'm gonna get him, even though I had nothing to do with their situation. So I guess in that fight, that specific fight, I knew, I don't remember the details, but I know in my heart that I had something to do with it. I instigated it somehow. Like I could have walked away, I could have done something else, I could have told somebody, I could have said something, but I instigated it and went in for it. So it was, in a sense, I was no more innocent than the bully at that point, because he was the bully testing how far he could go with me. And then I became the bully, and I said, oh, okay, you want to be that kind of guy? Well, then I'm going to be this kind of guy. And so it was the same energy meeting each other. And so it was not like he was any worse than me at that moment. And I knew that in my gut, I knew that even though he was coming towards me, I knew I was still in the wrong. So long story short, so I'm in the principal's office. The principal calls my mother. She comes to pick me up, and we go out, of the school, and she takes me to have lunch, and we're sitting there having lunch. And I think I was suspended maybe for a couple days from school. But all I remember was my mother kind of, I felt, and I don't, like I said, this was such a long time ago, but this was a reoccurring situation in my childhood. Was I always kind of got, I wouldn't say rewarded, but I kind of always got lit off, and it felt kind of like rewarded for doing the wrong thing. I got in a fight, though it was a bully coming at me. She took me to lunch, and we were laughing and talking, and it wasn't like it was there was no type of looking at myself and what I did. She doesn't know what actually happened at school. I do. All she knows is that I'm a happy kid, and I'm not the type to go and start any kind of fight. So she was just, my son, he was in a fight because someone attacked him. Oh, he's got sent home from school, so let me take him to lunch. But that was just one situation. The reason I feel so passionate about accountability is because my mother was a single mother, and she had to raise us, by herself. My grandfather came here from Iran when I was about 7 years old to help raise us. And without him, I would have been a mess, because he really established rules and discipline and some good things that I'm so grateful for today. I'm still so grateful to my grandfather. But she was a single mother, and as single mothers, they want to do so much to protect their children and give them so much that they sometimes fail to realize that the best thing you could ever give a child is a sense of accountability, responsibility. And there was too many situations in my childhood where I was doing wrong, where I wasn't putting in the work, where I wasn't doing right, and I was getting rewarded for it. Not just lit off, but almost rewarded for it. Like, oh, my baby, my baby. And when I got to be an adult with a family, I had to, scratch my head and rub my head, because now I'm dealing with the consequences of not having an accountable mindset of, it is my fault. I cannot keep pointing fingers and saying, oh, this happened to me, or it's their fault, or it's that. That kind of mentality leads a person to such a jailed life, such a limited life, when they're always blaming, when they're always excuses, when there's always this putting it off and not accounting for what they can do, what they know that is their fault. But that's the story is why I'm so passionate about accountability, is because I feel like throughout my childhood, the most important years to grow into your true personality of empowerment and abilities, I felt like I was, in a sense, the word handicapped. Like if someone had took my legs out, like if someone hit my knees and I couldn't walk, and I had to drag myself. As an adult, I felt the effects of not, in a sense, having accountable legs, abilities to move myself where I needed to go because of my blaming and excuses and my not working that muscle, you know. And so what, realizing that if I had more accountability for when I messed up, for when I did wrong, um, I could have I could have led myself in a direction of my choice, not had to be kind of like a ping pong, like a what is it? What is it? The machine that you hit the side buttons and they but I felt like a ball in life. Like I was always just, because of this situation being over here, and because that didn't happen, I had to, and I didn't have the strength to hold myself up and walk in a straight line of accountability to what I want, to what I choose, to what I think, because my mind was so set in the off places of blaming. So accountability, realizing that so many young men are being raised by, you know, single mothers, so many young women, even in two-party parents, you know, a mother and a father, so many children in today's society, grown adults in today's society are like children when it comes to accountability. It's governments, it's this, it's because of my job, it's because of that. And this is the reason I believe a majority of the problems on earth are created out of a lack of accountability. And I feel like when we become, that's why I always say my whole statement is I choose to lead this movement of accountable culture, is because as a culture, we're accountable to ourselves and we're accountable to each other. And I feel like with that understanding amongst humanity, a lot of solutions are created, a lot of solutions by just taking accountability, just owning up to what we're doing and what we're doing to others. So accountability is everything for me, just because of how limited and how defeated I felt emotionally, physically, just opportunities in life. I felt defeated, completely in hell because of my lack of accountability. And when that door of accountability started to open and I saw light come through and said, oh, there's a whole world that you can live. There's a whole experience of fulfillment that can be lived if you just account for what you're doing and what you want and what you're choosing, and that it's nobody else's fault. I felt that that was my calling, to walk out into this world and bring this flag that says account now, to young children, to adults, but and do that in a visually creative way, because I've been gifted in visual communications, whether it be in logo designs, whether it be in illustrations and comic books, whatever it be. This in itself, these shoes, they're entitled Fuck Fear. And the reason for that is FUCK is, let me write this out. Forget unproductive concentration. Kin, like in kindred, like in family, it's kindred. Forget unproductive concentration, kindred, family. Face, and then that's the FUCK, and then fear is face everything and rise. So this was this is a design for myself. It wasn't really for anybody else, but it's a design when I look down, you know, forget unproductive concentration, fam. Face everything and rise. And so that was a visual communication to myself, but just small little elements. And I know as I step forward in accountability, more inspiration and ideas and purpose will come to me about how I can affect more of this earth to be more accountable.
Wow, that was an amazing story, and I think the best idea that flows through me right now is that we all need those reminders daily to
Yes.
get more and more accountable. And how you just showed me that shoe and showed me that this shoe reminds me to be more accountable from moment to moment, because that's life, living from moment to moment. And no matter how good you were yesterday, day before, years ago, how good you expect to be in 5 years, we all need constant mental diet,
Yes.
and be like accountable. What kind of thoughts I'm feeding, what kind of thoughts I'm receiving,
Yes.
what kind of emotions I'm feeling, what kind of emotions I'm focusing on. Because as we were talking before, like we have such a range of things happening around us,
mm,
but where do I actually choose to focus my attention?
mm,
And that choice, that's accountability, and we always need to have that reminder:
mm.
where do I want to focus, and where am I focusing? And I
Yes.
really loved how when you said that story, in the story you had this deep sense of justice within you,
Yeah.
that there's a better way. I don't know what, I don't know how, and that guilt and shame of I didn't do the best I can,
Yeah.
and that feeling that there's more.
Yes.
And as I said, as you were going through that life as a ping pong ball, dropping from wall to wall,
Yes.
and that sense of justice and a feeling always was with you, the saying, there's something more,
Yes.
there's a better way.
Yes.
And that voice, that's a strong gift, because
Yes.
not many people, first I would say everyone has that voice, but
Mm,
most people try to push it down.
mm,
And
mm,
kudos to you for actually acknowledging that voice and actually listening to it.
mm,
As much as it was painful for you, as I heard from the story, to actually be able to listen to the voice, but not numbing it down. And
mm.
as I said, even if you are rewarded, you still feel like there's something more. And
Yes.
that's the thing, and that's your role in this world, as I see it. Be that person who shows the better way, shows
Mm,
that, it reminds that, well, you can fight the bully, yes, but there's another way. And
mm.
then you show another way. You show that flag, you show that shoe, show that
Yes.
logo design, and show,
Yes.
well, there's a better way how to
Mm,
live this life.
yes.
Where
Yes.
are you? Where are you focusing?
Mm,
Make a
mm,
choice.
mm,
Because deep inside, all of us, we do feel that voice, that justice.
mm.
There's something better. And once you see that something better, which you can express to your art, your way, that it's harder
Mm.
to resist it. Because as I said, even if you get rewarded, you still feel like there's something wrong here, you
Yeah.
know.
Yes. Yes.
And we need those reminders.
Yes.
Everyone, as often as we can get, we all need them.
Yes.
And that brings us to the final question. You already mentioned that you have so many things to answer it. And what is your next step you're afraid to take?
So that's another great question, and that led me to what you had answered in my questions to you with in regards to asking yourself the question. So honestly, in my present moment, I can honestly say that I'm not fearing any steps to take, because all the steps that I know to take, each day I'm putting action into making those steps, even if they're not the most confident, even if they're, things that I've never done. I don't necessarily feel the sense of fear in those specific steps, but in this present moment, amongst all the other work that I'm doing, because I have different projects that I'm doing, but I'm honing in on the focus between accountable culture and then my art side, which is Moxxy Works. But I know that there needs to be focus. But the one thing I could say I actually have a genuine, actual feeling of fear is where I'm currently serving in a job position. And if the funny thing is, because we've been operating our own business for years now, me and my wife. She's an amazing cook, and we've ran a burrito business for the last 3 years here where we're staying right now in Vail, Colorado, which is a beautiful mountain city. But it was a very successful burrito business. It's a breakfast burrito service that I would deliver and she would make the food. But due to recent food shortages and the delivery cycles to this city, we couldn't keep up with it. It was just too stressful. So being accountable, I said, I'm not going to wait till the last moment and, have to do something in the last moment. So I went and got a job on a ranch. It's in this valley. So I'm on like a real ranch, like a farm ranch, and I'm doing a lot of physical labor work. That is not a big issue with me. I'm actually enjoying the nature. I'm enjoying being active, but there is something, so because of just what you hear in the news and what you see, like food prices going up and everything, there is genuine actual fear from actually making a choice. So when you brought that question up, my thought about this job is that it's wrong for me. I know there's many other jobs I can do to add service to people that are not my specific personal business, that I would be happy to serve and add value in this type of business or that. It just happened that I ended up here, and I don't know if it's because of my idea of being accountable to the business that gave me an opportunity when I needed work or what it is, but I actually have a fear of making each day I go online and I'm looking at jobs in our town and I'm like, okay, that could work, that could work, that could work. And then something in me says, like, it's a small voice. And this is where I'm questioning myself, because it's like, is the small voice right or is the small voice wrong? Because my gut says that this is absolutely the wrong position for you within my own ethics. What I'm doing here is not serving true value. Not that it's not serving value to something. It's not truly my position. I'm not supposed to be here right now. And I don't know if that's coming from the me of the past that wanted to be unaccountable and say, oh, this is uncomfortable. I don't know why I'm here. Let me just go somewhere where it feels more like me. Or am I, not paying attention to my true honesty and saying, that you're saying, because here's my thing. If I ask myself this question, I know I'm not running from it because I've been there for months now and putting in excellent work every day. That's my whole point, is each time I go, even if I don't like it, if I'm there to do work, I'm going to give it my all, because if I do less than my all, it hurts even more. It hurts a lot more if I'm just doing sloppy work, trying to just get paid to do nothing. So I go and put in my excellence, and it wears my physical energy down, because I'm literally doing such physical labor on this ranch that it wears my physical down. And then internally, like I said, it has nothing to do with the physical, because if it was just the physical, I would consider it a great workout. And I'm like, oh, this is a good workout. No problem. I enjoy the air. I get to work out. Hey, it's a positive. But in my gut, there's something telling me you're scared to actually act on what you need to do right now. And I'm saying to myself, I say, but am I not taking steps towards it each day? And my voice comes back to myself and says, but you need to, in a sense, jump. Make the jump. Do what you do. You go excellent every day on this ranch. How come you're not going excellent every day on what you're supposed to do? And that's what comes to me, is not that I'm supposed to necessarily, I don't know. My whole thing is with that fear question was, is there a next step that I should make that I'm actually, what is my next step that I have a fear about? And my next step that I need to make is transitioning from that work experience, because it's draining me too much mentally and physically to be truly effective towards the work I'm meant to do. Even if I'm meant to do some type of job temporarily right now, the job should not wear me physically and mentally to the point where I'm giving just the leftover, recycling the leftover of my day towards the things that I truly have a passion for. At my most exerted energy of any job, I would be spending maybe 25% of my mental and physical energy, compared to this job where I'm spending 100% of my mental and physical energy, and then coming from work to coming from the job to work on my work with like zero energy. But because I feel accountability such my purpose, that I'm literally going beyond what I can actually do. I'm literally running on E, and I feel it in I literally made a video today, and I'm gonna probably post it on YouTube. You'll see it, but I'm kind of ranting about the fact that I'm extremely tired. If I'm honest with myself, I could stay physical, I could think, and then I could come home and get to work and still do what I need to do, but it's not as effective. My whole thing is being effective with the workout. If you like yoga, this. If I go in and do some type of exercise move and I'm not mindful of what I'm doing, I'm just like, okay, let's say I'm doing shoulder presses or something. and I'm just doing like this, that is not going to equate the same results on my shoulders as if I was in a correct posture, holding the correct amount of weight, going in the correct position, within the correct tempo. I get a lot better results. I actually see physical results. I feel the results as opposed to just looking like I'm doing the work. So that's what I feel like I do. I come from the job, and then though I'm actually doing things, I know I'm just doing the work, because if I was to, there's no energy to actually hold the weight or like focus my posture, because once I get home from the job, I feel like I need to meditate the rest of the day just to go back to work. I mean, go back to the job and do it without absorbing that character, without saying I am of that job. Because when I get so drained, I go to the job and I say, this is me. I am this man who picks up this many bales of hay, who stacks this many rocks, who shovels this much dirt, you know? And my mentality wants to associate with that character, which is not me. I am this character. And so mentally and physically, my fear is leaving this position and when I'm supposed to leave it. And do they need my help? There's another guy, he's going away for a month, and there's only 2 guys on the ranch. They're gonna need my help. There's so much fear from just finding something that fits me so much more that I can actually do my purposed work. So I'm fearing making a transition into a better fit of work in this current moment. I should say a better fit of a job in this moment so that I can do my actual work. So the fear right now is walking away from an activity that is not serving me and my purpose and others. So that's my main fear, is leaving unproductive activity, my daily unproductive activity that's really wearing me down. Like I regain myself because I get energy from talking to, you know, people like you and doing my work. But if I was honest with the person asking the questions inside, be honest. Is this really what you're choosing to do? Do you really believe in this? Is this right for your body and your mind? Every question I ask is no, 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 no. And I'm like, why do you keep doing it? And it's the fear. It's the fear of not having the money to take care of my family, you know, or leaving something prematurely. Oh, it got too hard, so I had just to run away. And it's my guilt saying, oh, are you being a baby about it? Are you not being accountable? There's so many things, but if I ask my honest self, I know I'm being accountable, and there's many other jobs that actually could serve me so much better as I do my actual work and build to add service and value to the world. So my fear right now is walking away from something that doesn't serve me.
Mm. Well, that makes a lot of sense, because you were talking so much about what you're afraid to go away from, but you barely mentioned what are you going towards to.
Yeah.
So how much time you're actually spending on visualizing, thinking, focusing, which direction you actually want to go towards? Like, no wonder the fear is so strong. You've been putting so much mental energy. Even in this condition, you were probably talking for 10-15 minutes about what you're afraid of leaving behind, that you're basically trying to jump backwards. Like, you want to jump there. Of course, you don't see what's there. You're afraid. What if you turned around that direction, faced where you're going, and then made a jump? Because at the moment, sounds like you don't even know which direction you're jumping, even though you probably know. Even though you probably know which direction you're jumping, you're facing that way. Of course, it's really scary to do the backdrops. That's what I'm doing now in yoga. Before I'm fit, before I know I have done it many times before, it's really scary to just, go backwards, do backflips, all those things. Yeah. Of course, if you're trying to jump backwards, it's scary because you don't do those kind of things daily. So, easy solution: which direction you want to jump.
So you brought up such a point, such a main point that I think about almost every day when I'm on the ranch, and that's what you just brought up. You said how much of my attention is being focused on who I am and what I'm doing and where I'm going. And I asked myself that. That's the part that's really draining to me, is because in the midst of all this work, I'm being this farmer man, and it's like work, 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 quick, 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 fast, fast, fast. Use this. You're the tool. You're the tool. Keep working, keep working. And in the midst of that, every once in a while, I'll break away in my mind and think, do you realize that you don't even think about what you do? You don't even think about what you want in life. You don't see it. I don't see a clear vision of what my future really. I know what, just like what you said, I know what it is, but do I visualize it? And I could say, no, it's very, very, very little visualization. And when I do when I start to, from this direction, when I start to turn around, it's almost like it's almost like it's sore or like it hurts, and I'm like, and I just turn back this way and keep working and just keep the job going. Because each time I go back to look at what I really want, it feels so far, it feels so impossible, that all I could do is, when I'm done with the job, I go like this, and I'm like, whew, and I make my way home. And by the time I get home and shower, I try to find a vision, and I can't say that I even try to find a vision. I'm so on a training that when I come from the job, I take the shower, and I already have a schedule of what I've already planned to do, so I don't go into visualization. I get to work. So whether it's the website or doing a video for YouTube or continuing on one of my projects visually, whatever it is that I'm actually working on, because it's such low energy, I don't know. I didn't even process, sometimes I know this. I do know this, but I think about this sometimes. I say, if I come home and I just lay back and visualize what I really am, what I really do, what I really want, I'll probably just fall asleep. And then I have guilt towards falling asleep, because I'm like, if you go to work, a job, and then you come home and go to sleep, where are you tomorrow? Where are you next month? You're still there. So it's this big fear, maybe, or something that has me trained where when I come back from the job, I automatically hop to work. And between job and then the work, there is zero input on my vision. I'm spending very literally minimal time. That's a very scary thing for me, because I'm a very visual person, and I've always dreamed, I've always visualized, I've always seen what I want and seen where I'm going. And for in this moment of my life, not to be visualizing that's a scary feeling when I'm at the job, and I'm at work. It is a somewhat fearful feeling that I actually don't have visuals of what I envision out of my work, what I envision out of life. Not to have a vision there is kind of like, it's what's making me feel really out of it in this current time of my life. I feel lost a lot of the time. I feel depleted, in a sense, depressed inside. I just feel like so drained, and I feel like I'm a slave. Really, I really feel like I'm a slave until I set myself free. That's how my brain processes this emotion daily. Like, you will not be free until you set yourself free, until you somehow work your way out of chains, and there's
Moxxy,
no,
you're
yeah.
still stuck.
See, you
You're
see
still
it,
stuck.
you see it, you see it. I know.
So for the last, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, you've been describing so much detail about what you don't want. The solution is just actually asking those questions and focusing, what do you want? Instead of trying to figure out how to stay in a job, or even trying to figure out how can I stay in a job and have the vision would be a nice solution. Even asking questions, how can I leave this job in a conscious and honest way?
Yes.
So instead of focusing how the job was till now, how much guilt you had till now, it's about actually focusing, what do I want? What are the shoulds? What are the voices in me telling me what I must do, and
mm,
then focusing on what you really want.
mm,
Past does not equal the future,
mm,
and
mm.
it's as simple as that. What do you want?
Absolutely. My goodness. You know what? I have an answer for that. I genuinely want to add genuine value to the world. Genuine, what I've been gifted with, solutions of accountability to the world in the most effective ways. But that's just a description. What you're talking about, I absolutely know what you're talking about. Do I see what I do? Can I feel it? Can I actually focus on what I'm doing? And that's absolutely the point. I'm literally focused on the past, on things that I don't want, things that I'm not choosing. And so you're absolutely hitting it on the head. And even in this moment right now, I'm choosing not to go there, not to keep going there in my mind, and choose to, even in this moment, say, you know what, I'm gonna take a stand right here and choose to continuously point my mind in the direction that I'm going and what I'm choosing and what it really is inside of me. Make conscious thoughts and vision in that direction, because you're right. I spend all day in that direction, all day in that direction. So 100% I'm taking that advice in this moment, and I'm not going to take up too much more of your time, because you've helped me out so much in this that I'm like, my goodness, I'm so thankful. But absolutely, what my choice is in this now moment is to focus and turn my head towards what is, not what isn't my choice, what isn't my thoughts. And even in this moment, I'm going to choose that in as much as possible. Even if my head starts to go this way, I'm going to be accountable to notice if I'm thinking this direction. And that's going to be my workout, because that is
Can I
heavyweight.
share you a quick story before we leave?
Absolutely.
So I remember one time, in my life, I was traveling, sailing, and I had this really big vision of going to this fruit festival in near New York,
Uh-huh.
and I was so committed to get there. But I was also wanted to sail across the ocean, Atlantic crossing, basically.
Wow.
And I had these two things, two visions. And at some point, I realized I have to choose one. And once I realized I have to choose one, I saw, okay, I made a decision. I'm getting to the festival. So that meant that instead of crossing, which I can do anytime, probably next year or year after, whatever, my priority right now was the festival. So I came back to Europe,
Mhm.
and I was trying to find a job. So I
Uh-huh.
was in UK and trying to find a job. My ego was saying I want to do something that's according to my vision. I want to be a programmer, something I studied, something that adds more value. But my actual outcome and objective and mission was earn enough money to get me across to the festival. So my outcome, and I was every day focusing, I'm doing this because I want to get to that festival. So I was trying to find a programmer's job, but it's really hard because as you apply, you have to wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks till they actually start considering your interview, and then you go to the interview, you might not even get. So it's a long process. It's a really scary thing to get the job as a programmer. And what happened to me at that point was I also needed a time to find a place to stay, and I only had like 2 months. I only had 2 months before the festival, so I had like really limited time frame to
Wow.
actually get my vision done. I needed money,
Uh-huh.
and I was trying to grab too many things at the same time. I was thinking I want to have a programmer's job, so I don't want to do all kinds of other stuff,
Right.
and but I still want to go to festival. So I was every day when I made a choice, or every day was looking for a choice, and I was looking for the signs the universe was sending me. So first of all, I was going step by step. First of all, okay, I need a place to stay. Where do I find a place to stay? I reached to my childhood friend who offered me a place to stay.
Yeah.
So I could rent for him. So one thing done, okay. One thing less to worry about, okay, out. So I
Uh-huh.
have a place to stay. And he said me, okay, I'm working in this company, which is in a warehouse where I have to do lots of stuff, and they're always looking for people. And if you need a job, just go there and work for them. It was a really physical job.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
but I could get a job immediately because basically within a week I was already working and getting money.
Yes.
So it served that job served my purpose to get to the festival. So I
Yeah.
did that job for those 2 months, and in the very beginning I told them, I'm gonna leave for a vacation in those months and may not even come back. So
Yes.
that I told my story to them very beginning. I have those 2 months to work
Yeah.
for you. I'm gonna do the best, and I'm doing it to get to the festival. I was
Yes.
that clear about them, and since the day one, this is me, this is where I'm
Yes.
going, and I'm gonna do my best. And I did that. And every day when I show at work, I knew what I'm showing up. I'm showing up for to get to the festival.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
what, and every time when I was doing stuff, I was still thinking about the festival. Even though I was focusing on the things I do, I reminded myself the reason why I'm there. And I suggest the same thing. Uh, what's your outcome? Why you got in the job? Is it still serving the purpose? Or maybe you already need to let it go. And if
Mm.
it's still serving the purpose, as you show up to the job, tell them, I'm staying here like 1 week, 2 weeks. Like, be clear about what you want
Yes.
and remind yourself, what I want wants me back.
Yes.
So what I want, they want that same thing as well. And the
Yes.
scarcity thing, that fear that I heard from you was that you're afraid that being in a job will change your identity. Well, it will not change your identity if you're actually focusing and know why you're there. You're there to provide your family, you get income,
Yes.
and you're making it yourself accountable. But
Yes.
if you know deep down inside that it's served the purpose and it's ready to go,
Yes.
then is that the thing you have to focus on. And thank you so much. I really need to go. It was really a pleasure to have this chat with you. And see you
Thank you
next
so
time.
much. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon, and I'll.
Talk to you.
Yes,
And feel free to follow up if you need any guidance on this one. I'm happy to help.
absolutely. Thank you, brother.
Okay.
Yes. Bye bye.
Bye bye.